everyone, Greg Phelps here. I recently saw a number of IBCS-style visuals presented online and wanted to see how I could leverage Deneb to produce a similar visual. In this case, a performance visual with current versus previous year amounts, variance amounts, and variance percentages. Full transparency, I have not studied the IBCS standards in detail, so any departures are my own. But as this is a learning exercise to see what Deneb can do and not a showcase of approved IBCS features, I'm not too worried about it. Some of the features of IBCS visuals that I'd like to use include simple colors, y-axes that start at 0, y-axis labels are omitted as data labels are included. In this example, I'll actually depart from a true IBCS visual and keep the y-axis labels to help illustrate axis ranges. Y-axes for variances are ranged to a threshold, and outliers are noted with indicators. Categorical data is presented in bar charts, for example, vertical categories on the y-axis. Time-based data is presented in column charts, i.e. horizontal, with time periods on the x-axis. I've again departed from a true IBCS visual as I've used column charts instead of bar charts. The reason for this departure is that the original data set I began with was time-based, and it was easier to continue with column charts rather than switch to bar charts. Let's take a quick look at the final visual we're looking to reproduce. I'll just flip over to Power BI here. So what we have is a single Deneb visual with 3 data values being added in, the product, sales, current year measure, and the sales previous year measure. We'll just take a look at the measures here. Size, it's just a simple sum X, and this is a simple sum X with using the same current year measure with data add. So let's take a look at the Deneb code itself. I'll just bring up the size, or the sizes. Let's just bring this. Let's see. Better. Perfect. So what we have here is a title block, a transform block, params block, and then we see we have 4 vertically concatenated blocks. We have a legend block, we have a variance percent block, we have a variance amount block, and we have our bar chart block. Each of the bar charts actually is composed of multiple layered marks if necessary, and we'll go through each in turn. Okay, let's get started here. The first thing we'll do is we will duplicate our page. We'll rename the page to current year. Okay, and we'll then delete the visual as we won't be using it. Here, we'll make a new one from scratch. All right, so we'll flip over to our snippets files. The first thing we do is create a new Deneb visual. Add the visual to the page here. Larger. Go and add some data into it. We're going to add in our product. We're going to add in our sales current year measure, our sales previous year measure. Now let's go and edit this visual here. We'll edit it, and we'll choose a simple bar chart template. Product going to category, sales, CY measure. And then we see the chart here, which is really actually bump the size here of the editor a little bit. Perfect. Down to 100% so we can see a bit better. All right, so let's do a couple of things here. First of all, we don't need the highlight mark at all, so let's get rid of that. Turn on the auto apply changes here. We'll get rid of the opacity. Don't need that. And next thing It's not required at all, but I like to do it, as I like to have the encoding block above here. Here, comma. Get rid of this comma. Perfect. Next, let's turn it from a bar chart into a column chart. All we have to do for that is exchange the X and Y. Change that to X, change that to Y, and change. Perfect. All right. Next, let's go to our snippets file. That stuff. Okay, good. Let's add a few characteristics, or sorry, a few properties in here. So we have our mark here. We'll add in a few things and let's see what we have here. So what I've added in is a width setting here to set bar width to 0.6 of the full bar width available. I've offset the bar by 20 pixels to the right, and I've set the color to dark gray. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is add a vertical concatenation block. Yeah, let's grab this here. That around here. Okay. Come down. Where's it? Okay. That's it. I'm missing something here. Single layer. Maybe let's try two. Next thing I have to do is add white into the layer here. Okay. I'm going to pause for a second while I figure this out. I'll be back. Okay, I just had the encoding block in the wrong place. So this is where it should be. It should be inside the V layer, or sorry, inside the mark layer, not outside it. All right, so here we go. I have the sales CY here, and as my first mark. Just name that. And is sorry. Current, perfect. Now, what I want to do next is I want to duplicate that, copy and paste. This time to make it sales previous. Make the offset minus 20. Get light gray. Whoops. Okay, and sales. Oh, there we go. We got our two bars. So sales current and sales previous. Terrific. Next, let's add in our data labels. Come back over to our snippets file. Alrighty. Next, we'll add in text mark. First, below the two bar marks, let's just add in a text mark. So I have here, comma, paste that in. And then we see we've got our data values here. A couple more things I want to do is I want to put a Y offset onto the labels so they don't overlap bars. Here's here. So now they're a little bit higher. Next thing I want to do is I want to actually format them. Here, text formatting. Here, and there we see we've got our values. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to the variance amounts. Variance amount. First, we'll just duplicate that page, reuse the work we've already done. Amounts. Oops, I didn't. Okay. Perfect. All right, let's go in and edit this visual here. I'm going to let's delete the first bar here. Add any more. I'm going to calculate the variance amounts here. Come back over to our snippet files. Duplicated the page and deleted the first mark. Now let's calculate the variance amount and add a transform block in here. Here to data set here. And the values. That's just left over from coding. There we go. Okay. Actually don't need an offset here. Change the size of the bar and change it to center. Okay, great. The next thing I'm going to do is to change the y-axis title to a variance amount. Let's just add that in here. Sorry, that needs to be in an axis block. Okay, I'm going to pause here and figure out what I have wrong. I'll be back in a moment. I just had the axis, I had the axis block in the wrong place. Okay, so now I've added that in here. The next thing I want to do is to change the name here to variance amount bar. I got rid of the X offset. I changed the width of the band, the width of the bar to 0.2. Change the Y-axis title to variance amount. And then let's add a scale to the block. Actually, before we do that, for the Y encoding, I don't actually want the sales PY anymore. I want the new field we calculated. Use the threshold variance amount. And now we see we got our bars going up and down. For the label, instead of sales CY text, I want to show the actual variance amount. And for its location, I want to show the threshold. Oops. All right. Go. Okay. The next thing I want to do is add in scale. So let's go back over to our snippets file. And I'm going to add scale into the y-axis here. So we'll go here. Yep. And now we have, This forces the y-axis to go to the range we specify. Next thing I want to do is I want to add color into the bars. So what I'm going to do, actually before you, I'm going to just that into the variance amount label. Bar and sorry, should be named. Variance amount label, and I want to put, oh, all right, where's that one? Put the alignment to the center. Center seam. Right. Left. Perfect. All right. And let's add a Y offset. And I did those two. Okay. The next thing, adjust the bar color. So we'll add this into the coding block. And then go through it. See what it is. Okay. For the bar, get rid of the specified color of light gray. Instead, put it here. Code it. Pause for a second while I figure this out, and then I'll be ready. Okay. So there we go. It was just my cut and paste. So what I have here is instead I'm choosing the color based on conditions. If the threshold amount is less than 0, that's going to be red. Otherwise, it's going to be green. So there we get our marks for there. Just going to do one more thing. I need to adjust the label position. I'm going to add that to the text mark. Let's see, we have bar label. I'm going to add adjustments for text marks. And once again, I'll pause while I figure this out. Once again, it's my cut and paste. So here what we have is for the label, we want the Y offset to use the threshold variance amount. If the amount is less than 0, I'm going to have it go above by 5. If the amount is less than 0, if the amount is less than 0, I want it to go above by 5. If the amount is less than 0 or greater than 0, I want it to go below by 3. And I do a similar thing with setting the baseline for the text mark. Okay. Let's see where we are now. I have everything here. That. The next thing I want to do, I want to change the formatting for my labels. I actually want to show a positive sign above, in front of the value if positive, or the negative is already there. I will add that instead. Where do I add that? The text encoding block. Instead of the PDF format here, I'm going to add that amount in. And now I see I've got a signed label, positive and negative. Okay. Let's see here, what's next? We want to add the indicator. So, what I'm going to do is add a mark. I'm pause for a second. I'm missing some. Okay, I'm just add a third mark into this one here. Where I have the variance amount bar. Oops, why do I have variance amount bar? Right. The variance amount label. Let's add that in. Let's just take right, and this will make the variance indicator. All right, this time we're going to change the type from a bar mark to a point mark. And get rid of the tool. That. Whoops. Bar mark. We don't need the width. Okay. So I have a mark there. Showing up as a circle at the moment. What I'm going to do is change the shape. Over here. That. Whoops. Where did it go? Right. And once again, I cut and paste. Right. There we can see it's a very small. The triangle has been set properly. What I need to do is change its size. Do that now. It's made it a bit bigger, and then I'm going to change its position. Just add a Y offset into that. Okay. Oops, I lost again. Bar label indicator. And what am I missing again? Label indicator. Go cut and paste from my snippets file. All right, so there we have our amount with the indicators. All right, but now I've got a problem with the fact that indicators are showing for everything. I don't actually want the indicators to show for everything. I want them to instead only show when the values are above and below the threshold. So let's change the color block here. So I'm going to change that color block here, place it with this one, and if I cut and paste, doesn't look less than and greater than. Well, there we go. Perfect. So now we see we've only got indicators. The amounts are above the threshold. We only see indicators for the below the threshold. Perfect. Okay. Let's move on to the variance percentage. Okay, this one is a little bit easier. Oh, actually, I didn't get the type quite right. Let's duplicate this page. Call it variance percents. And once again, we'll edit the JSON code here. Let's just do something very quickly here. Paste all the JSON code, move into Notepad++, paste all the code, and we'll do a very quick placement, search and replace. Search for what? Our variance amount. I want to replace that threshold, or sorry, percent. Welcome. And next I'm going to do it in capitals. Sorry. Oops. Now let's paste. Code will come back in here. Paste it in. All right. The next thing I've got to do is I've got to add in, actually, and it shouldn't have been the amounts here. Okay. Anyway, I'll come back over and replace them anyway. So come back over to my snippets file. So I did that, calculate the variance percent. I have to add those two values into the transform block. Here, place those two. And I'll pause while I figure things out here. Okay, it was just that I didn't have all the calculations. Sorry, all the individual calculations. Okay, so what we've done here is we've updated the transform block. We've then changed our bar to a much smaller width. Let's just one of it. Let's see, change these amounts here. All right. And I've changed the the field for Y to the threshold variance percent. I've changed scale domain to go from 1 to -1 and colors correctly. This seen in the previous. Now I just want to okay, so I need to adjust the Y axis format. Let's add this into the Y encoding log. Come here, here. And I might have a feeling I put that in the wrong place. Nope, worked perfect. All right. Next thing we're going to do is I need to do that as well for the text label format. And here I'm going to change this. So where do I get the text label? There we go. That place this. We see we got our 92, etc. It's all good. And again, it's signed like we did last time. Perfect. And now for the indicator. Something's off here. Let me just flip over to my snippets, see what it's value. Or so change that here, I think. Cut, paste. Perfect. All right. Okay, let's move on to the legend. Let's create a new page. Legend. Create a new Deneb visual. Here I'm going to add in any data field at all. Doesn't matter what it is. So I can edit the specification. And we'll choose empty specification. Size, you can see a bit better. Okay, and now I'm going to go over my snippets file. Instead of designing the entire legend here, I'm actually going to do a I don't know how you want to say it. I'm actually going to create an arc mark then change its size. See it. Take advantage of the Vega-Lite, the way it generates everything automatically. Okay, I'll pause for a sec. I'll figure this out and I'll get back to you. Okay, I just didn't have it pasted right. So what I've done here is I've created an arc mark with hard-coded values here, simply to take advantage of Vega-Lite's ability to auto-generate legends. So what I've done is set hard-coded data values. I've set the radius to 100. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to change the radius to 0. And that will get rid of the mark there. So perfect. All right. So let's move on to creating our final visual. We'll create a new page. Actually, let me not create. Let's just take the one that we already have. Duplicate this. Just come down. Perfect. So now we have the one chart here. So we have a vconcat with our named layer. Let's just or so we got one here. Now let's flip back over to our variance amounts. Grab the spec from there. We'll edit that. We're at the whole vconcat block here. Into our final. Okay. Paste above. Here. I expect that's not going to work exactly yet. We're missing transformations. While we're here, so I can see a bit better, let's just add shadow into this visual. So side center. Perfect. Okay. Come back over to variance amount. I need to transform to. So come over here, grab that transform block, grab the transform block, that in. Go over to our final, edit that. Come on. Okay. All right, so that here should get our visual. There we go. All right, so put a name on that one too. I think I might have already switched. So now we have two parts in here. But go to variance percent. Add the block, or sorry, the layer block. That one. Back to our final. In here. So again, I expect that won't work quite right because we're missing transform block. So back over to variance percent. That again. Copy and paste these two. calculations. To our final visual, edit it again. And transform load, comma, separate those ends here. There we go. Everything's in. All right. Not everything's in, sorry. We have 3 of our 4 here. Okay. Next thing to do is we want to grab our legends. So I'm going to come over to the legend. We do edit that. And now we'll grab everything inside the beacon block to do that. Let's come back to our final visual. Let's see. Right here. All right. Name, where the name already is there. Perfect. So, here's here's most of our final visual. Here are all the pieces and do a little bit of cleanup. So, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back in. Now, one of the things I had forgotten to do before is add in title block. Put this above data block. Capture my spec. There. Separator. And got our title in there as well. So you can see all of these deal with the title value. These ones deal with the subtitle value. All right, a little bit of cleanup here. One of the things that's very interesting about sizes and legends, height can't actually be 0. Set it to 0. Not going to make much of a change, but if I set it to 1, it will figure. So that's what we want to do. The next thing we want to do is we want to change the size of our other marks. So in the percent, let's make it a bit smaller. Let's change it to 200. Smaller here. In the amount, let's change the size to 200 as well. See how that looks. It's still a bit too much. Let's go back and edit a bit more. Make this 160. Sorry. 60 as well. And I'll make the bar instead of 2. Let's see how that looks. There we go. It's a little better. One more thing I want to do is I want to add in the x-axis here. So let's just do that. Sorry, the axis is already there. I just want to indicate it a little, obviously. So let's do them here. Let's come back over to our snippets file. Where that's it. Okay, so I want to add this into the Y encoding block. All right, so the Y encoding clock. And it didn't work, and I'll figure it out, and I'll be back at home. Okay, I just had the access code in the wrong place. Here we go. So what I've done here, I've added a grid color and a grid width into the Y-axis encoding. And what we see here now is I have a black dotted line. That's not exactly what I want. So I'm actually going to go over to the config section, and I'm going to rip out everything associated with axes just so we can see it. Get rid of that. Do that. Let's get rid of all those. And now we can see we have a solid black bar. Okay, this has gone on far longer than I wanted it to, so I'm going to stop there. So that's it for this example of an IBCS-style performance visual. As I mentioned earlier, we should have been using bar charts instead of column charts for such categorical data. But again, as this was a Deneb exercise, I took some liberties. A few of the items that I took away from this exercise include the specifications built into Deneb are an excellent starting point, especially for common visuals. For composite visuals, it's often easier to reuse existing work, for example, duplicate or copy and paste, rather than to start fresh each time. Clarity reigns supreme, and an easy combination of simple, well-understood visuals can make a compelling basis for decision-making. The Deneb template for this visual, along with the PBIX file used to create this visual, is available in the Deneb Showcase section of the Enterprise DNA forum. For more information on any of these topics, you can refer to the Deneb website, the Vega-Lite website, and the IBCS website. Thanks for your attention, and I hope this has been of value to you, and will pique your interest in adding Deneb, Vega-Lite, and IBCS skills to your Power BI toolbox.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to Enterprise DNA TV. If you enjoyed the content covered in this particular tutorial, please throw the video a like. It really helps us and we really appreciate it. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Enterprise DNA TV channel. We have a huge amount of content coming out all the time from myself and a range of content creators, all dedicated to improving the way that you use Power BI and the Power Platform. Lastly, check out Enterprise DNA's website, plenty of resources and further learning that you can access very easily. All the best. Take care.